Memory Burn, a short film and personal essay by Payton Hayes. I run my fingers over the seared stump, its bark gray with soot and ash, dark grooves running parallel to the rings that tell of fires and droughts and all the time in the forest as remembered by the tree that once was. When trees are injured, they develop physical and chemical boundaries around the injury wound to resist infection. Trees also grow new wood to close over the injured place. Injuries caused by fires result in fire scars, and patterns of scarring among trees can help researchers understand how often and when forest fires are likely to occur. I light the white candle, the fire licking up the wick, the wax warming, the glow of the flame emanating from the candle walls where within memory burns. It smells like honey, and as it melts, it looks that way too. As the flame takes the candle back to its burned memory, the scent of honey and vanilla carries me away to my memories. A burn memory, sometimes called a memory ring or a memory burn, is the wax that melts around the wick of a candle from the very first time it is lit, especially if it is not burned for long enough to allow the wicks to liquefy or to melt from edge to edge of the container. The candle remembers where it is burned up to on that first burn, and will only ever burn up to the point where it was last extinguished. Once a candle has a memory burn, it will continue to tunnel for the life of the candle. I run my finger over the burn on my thumb given to me by the toaster this morning. This burn is one of many that mark me inside and out. I can't help but think of the different burns I've endured in my lifetime. Some burns I've endured are minor, like this one, while others have marked me for life. Some burns are avoidable, and some are not. Some burns you can come back from, healing with time and care, while others leave a scar for life. In modern Western medicine, burn damage is categorized in degrees, from first to fourth, the intensity and damage increasing with each degree. Sometimes the degree of a burn you have can change. This can happen if your damaged skin keeps spreading and the injury becomes deeper. First-degree burns are superficial, and the painful, inflamed skin at the site of the burn typically heals quickly within a matter of days. With second-degree burns, the outer layer of your skin as well as the dermis, the layer underneath, has been damaged. Your skin will be bright red, swollen, and it may look shiny and wet. You'll see blisters and the burn will hurt to the touch, but it will likely heal within a couple of weeks. Third-degree burns burrow further down, destroying the epidermis and all other layers of your skin. Instead of turning red, it may appear black, brown, white, or yellow. It won't hurt because this type of burn damages nerve endings. Fourth-degree burns run the deepest into the skin and result in the most physical damage to the body. These burns destroy all layers of your skin as well as your bones, muscles, and tendons, and in extreme cases, it can even result in death. I would like to offer a suggestion for categorization of a fifth-degree burn called memory burn. These kind of burns sear deeper than the body, leaving scars on the mind. These endlessly smoldering burns may never heal, even in death, even after, often spreading like wildfire, consuming friends, family, strangers, and memory. When I was little, probably around 5 or 6 years old, my sister and I often went to stay with our mom over the weekend during the summer. We lived with our dad in the heart of San Antonio, and she lived with her boyfriend on what we always called the South Side. Both of our parents' houses were white and brown mobile homes, but Dad's had air conditioning and Mom's did not. One afternoon, Carly and I were out playing in the yard because there wasn't much to do inside the house, besides developing cancer from secondhand smoke and watching the same Chicken Little VHS over and over again. We played on the rusty swing set that lifted us as we swung, just a little too high. Our baby brother Tristan played in the tiny plastic kiddie pool, and when it got so hot that we needed to cool off, we joined him, me in my Blue's Clues one piece and Carly in her Barney one, Tristan in his diaper. After playing in the pool for hours, Mom came out to check on us, but it was too late. I don't know how we hadn't realized it. Maybe because we were so engrossed in our own pretend world, or maybe because we were happy to be free from our mobile home prison. But we were all beet red, like baby lobsters trapped in a tide pool. When Mom came outside, she ran across the yard and over to the pool, her cigarette bobbing between her lips. Out of the pool, inside, now. She pointed at the house and we whined at her for more playtime but quickly gave up the fight. We were tired and hot and sweaty and we hadn't eaten or applied sunscreen for hours, so we obeyed. Taking a puff from her cigarette and wedging it back between her lips, she lifted Tristan and his soggy diaper out of the kiddie pool, streams of water pouring down all over them, a blade of grass stuck to his flushed, chunky baby leg. I'll never forget that first horrible, painful sunburn. Carly, Tristan, and I all have one, the youthful flesh on our bodies, singed pink and hot to the touch. Nothing could soothe us that first night. Not aloe, not ice, not ibuprofen. We just had to endure the burns against the backdrop of oppressive heat. My once soft and cozy bed sheets felt scratchy like sandpaper on my skin, and no matter how I lay, I couldn't get comfortable enough to sleep. Somehow, though, we all drifted off, eventually succumbing to exhaustion, but sleep didn't stick around long. This story is just one of my many memories. Yes, it's the story of my first sunburn. It was a painful experience, but the physical burn itself was only a first-degree burn. The trauma from the neglect that resulted in the sunburn is arguably a first-degree burn as well. This is just one burn I've endured in my lifetime. I have many other burns, both physical and emotional, and varying in severity from 1st to 4th degree. We have all been burned in some way, and some of us still carry our scars with us. I like to think of these burns as memory burns. Memory burns are the wounds that seem like they won't heal. These burns continue to smolder, embers of the trauma flickering in the mind and body. These burns affect not only the burn victims, but also their loved ones. These burns impact communication, interpersonal relationships, and well-being. These are the kind of fire scars that take time and effort to recover from. If one chooses not to heal their memory burns, they can spread like wildfire, consuming all in their path. The raging fires blaze out of control, burning friends, family, and even strangers. Memory burns, if left untreated, can spread pain and trauma across generations. One example of this is my own family. My dad says my grandmother was beaten by her father, who used baling wire to whip her. In turn, my grandmother beat and slapped my dad until he was grown. And in turn, he beat my siblings and I until we were grown. Then we put our hands on each other. We didn't know any better. When I was a teen, I deliberately made it a point to never hurt my sister again, but this was only after I'd realized our childhood wasn't normal. My dad doesn't think spanking should be considered physical abuse, but there's an overwhelming collection of research that shows the kind of destruction corporal punishment can have on a child. It is known that spanking can alter a child's brain response in a way similar to severe maltreatment, and it increases perception of threats. Often, this can lead to feelings of low self-worth, unnecessary guilt and shame, and can manifest in PTSD, severe anxiety, depression, and other serious mental health disorders. As a survivor of abuse and someone with a PTSD diagnosis, I can confidently say that I am not better for being spanked as a child, and all of that unnecessary abuse I endured did not contribute to my growth in any positive way. In fact, I think it had the opposite effect, stunting me, leaving me like a stump in the forest covered in scars. Like the burned tree, I might have built a strong outer wall to protect myself, but that doesn't mean that I'm growing or doing any better as a result of the trauma. Dad, unknowingly quoting Nietzsche, would say, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." When it comes to abuse and trauma, I disagree. I think surviving traumatic events, such as childhood abuse or escaping a burning house, can have a lasting impact on someone, even if the event literally only left a scratch. There are burns in the tree. There are burns in the candle. There are burns in my skin. And there are burns in my memory. It isn't the presence of burn holes, but rather the singed absence of what was once there and the seared edges around it that keeps record. Some of these burns healed long ago with time. Some of these burns left fire scars. Some of these burns are still healing, and some of these burns will never heal. Some of these burns tell a story, and I still ache when I visit those memories. I have many fire scars that have marked me throughout my life, and unless I work to heal that trauma, to heal those fire scars, I will continue to burn. I will burn other people around me too. You know that saying, hurt people hurt people? It's true. If these smoldering wounds are left untreated, they continue to hurt us. And then we hurt other people, and then they hurt other people. Trauma perpetuates itself. If left unchecked, trauma can go on generation after generation. Trauma does not discriminate. It knows no bounds. At this point in time, my burns are my burdens to bear. It is my responsibility to find the balms for my body, the medicine for my mind, and the salves for my soul. It is a heavy weight to carry, but no one else can take it from my hands. Over the years, I've learned it is often far less easy to heal the wounds than it is to simply not be burned in the first place. Unfortunately, we don't always have that luxury. I said earlier that some wounds are avoidable, and some are not. While we cannot undo the damage done to us by the other people in our lives, we can stop the burns in their tracks and keep them from spreading deeper, from burning others. It's up to each and every one of us to be conscious of our own trauma and how it affects those around us. We can learn how to treat burns so that we know how to care for ourselves and others who have been burned. This might look like going to therapy and building support systems to help strengthen bonds and build community with others. We can practice fire safety and recognize the conditions that allow fires to catch on in the first place. This might include being aware of your surroundings and not allowing yourself to be put into dangerous situations. We can understand how dangerous it is to play with fire and how deadly it can be simply being in the midst of someone with a match. This might look like setting healthy boundaries to protect your peace and burning bridges with those who don't treat you with respect, kindness, patience, and understanding. By being aware of all the pain that we're carrying, we can better understand ourselves and cut down on the unnecessary pain throughout the world today. Just by being aware of our own trauma and working towards healing it, we can begin to put out the wildfires.